What's up, everybody? Back with the third edition of the LG Locks picks. We got 5 games NCAA, 5 games NFL again for you. As you can see, I'm without Grayson this week. He's off at a bachelor's party, so he's out there having fun. He will be sending in his picks, so they'll be in the tweet when we get done with this. I wasn't able to post NFL picks on TikTok last week because of a technical issue. I just forgot to bring my MacBook, honestly. But quick recap before we move on. Overall standings, I am 4-6 in NCAA. I went positive 3-2 last week, and I'm 4-5-1 in the NFL. Also went positive 3-1-1 last week, and then Grayson is 5-5 in NCAA. He went 2-3, and he is 6-3-1 in the NFL. I believe he went 3-1-1. So, starting off, we're gonna go to College Game Day. The 4-0 TCU Horned Frogs face the 5-0 Kansas Jayhawks. Let me just repeat that real quick before we start. 5-0 Kansas versus 4-0 TCU with College Game Day. That's just crazy. Both teams are coming off pretty impressive wins in two different fashions. TCU absolutely destroyed Oklahoma. I know they didn't have Dylan Gabriel after like halfway through the second quarter, but they were killing them even with them. Kansas beat Iowa State in a low-scoring game. That's kind of really eye-opening for me because that just proves that their defense can stand against Iowa State is an average team this year. Matt Campbell always has them taught well and coached well, so that's a pretty good win. I could see this game going both ways, but I have to ride the Kansas train. Jalen Daniels is, as I said in one of our videos, he's a dog. I mean, he's one of the best athletes in college football right now. So I'm just going to ride it to the wheels fall off, and they're catching a whole touchdown at home. I know TCU just handled Oklahoma, but maybe I'm banking on a hangover effect, and they're at home. Their defense was impressive. They only gave up 26 yards rushing versus Iowa State. So, I mean, it's Jalen Daniels, it's Kansas, it's College Game Day. They're probably going to be sold out. I don't know. And I'm pretty sure, let me double check right here. Pretty sure the money is all over TCU right now. Yeah, 64% of the bets are on TCU. 52% of the money is on TCU. So, fading the public a little bit here. Kansas +7 at home. Feed it to me. We're going to move on to Baton Rouge. Tennessee's coming off a bye week, and they're going in with the number one offense against Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers, who are coming off a close win at Auburn, which any road win in the SEC outside of Vanderbilt is impressive. LSU's defense, just to have a little stat for us here, is allowing 12 yards per reception, which is like bottom 4 in the SEC, I believe. And I mean, this game just feels even throughout. Both teams have beat like 2 P5 teams, relatively close games. Both teams have also beaten group of 5 teams handedly. LSU has had an extra game, and they did lose to Florida State week 1, but that's week 1, so we don't always hold that against teams. I just got to go with the better offense here. Hendon Hooker, Tennessee's offense, I think, is just going to be too much for Brian Kelly and LSU's defense. I don't think LSU's offense can keep up with this type of firepower that Tennessee has coming with them. So they have a week to prepare a week more to prepare. So I'm going to go Tennessee -3 here. Then we're going to move over to the Red River rivalry. That's a tongue tie. But these are two teams trending in opposite directions. Oklahoma is coming off an absolute ass whipping from TCU, as I touched on before. They just got dominated. They might be without Dylan Gabriel. I haven't seen any updates personally. I did look into it a little bit, and it said that he was a very big maybe for the game. Texas, on the other hand, is coming off a win, unfortunately, versus my struggling Mountaineers. Our secondary is terrible, so it may have looked a little more single-sided than it should be. But they're probably going to get Quinn Ewers back. And I truly think Texas should have beat Alabama. if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt. And Xavier Worthy, I don't know who's going to stop him. You bring Quinn Ewers back, that adds a dynamic to the team where it's going to open Bijan Robinson up. And Oklahoma got ran all over by TCU, and I think Bijan Robinson is he could win the Heisman. I don't know, stats wise, probably not really in the running right now, but he was there at the beginning of the talks, and he's that talented. He might be the first running back off the board in the NFL draft. So for that, it's at 7, which is a key number. I don't trust Oklahoma's defense, and I don't trust their offense, especially if Gabriel's out. So I'm gonna take Texas -7. Hopefully it's a rivalry game. So hopefully a late touchdown can get a cover, or hopefully they just blow them out and we don't have to sweat it at all. But I'm thinking Quinn Ewers and Bijan Robinson, I think he might have a day. I think he might go for 150 plus and 2 touchdowns, but I could be completely wrong, and Oklahoma could come out and Brent Venables comes out with a completely different game plan, fired up after getting beat like that. So I'm going to go Texas -7 there. And then finally getting out of this stacked noon slate, and we're going to head over to the Rose Bowl. Utah at UCLA. Utah's coming in with the best defense in the Pac-12. They're second in the nation versus the pass, which is going to be UCLA's biggest test to date. They did just pass a huge test versus Washington, but they did get almost 500 yards of offense. DTR just looks amazing. Charbonnet looks amazing. Chip Kelly's got that team just firing on all cylinders right now. A late push made that game really close when they had it in hand the whole time. So the biggest question is, can Utah finally get over the hump on the road? They're really good at home, but they're 2-8 in their last 10 games against above 500 teams on the road. That's including if Florida stays above 500 for the rest of the season, but I would assume they do, which is terrible. Their style of play usually can travel, but it's just not showing up. So with that being said, I'm going to go UCLA +3.5. I'm going to take moneyline also probably. But I think them being at home and DTR being a fifth-year senior and that offense just being clicking as it is, I just think it's too much for Utah to keep up with, kind of like I was saying in the Texas game. Like, it's just too much offense from UCLA for Utah to keep up with. So the last game on the slate, this is kind of an ugly one, but we wanted to be a little different this week. We try to pick 5 best games, and this one's interesting. It's going to be up in Pittsburgh, VT versus Pittsburgh. I chose this game basically because West Virginia should be 2-0 against them. We should have won week 1 against Pitt. If we go for it on 4th and inches, maybe. If we don't throw a pick 6, probably. But in reality, like getting to the game, I just don't see VT's offense catching its stride. They've been struggling all year. They have the talent. Grant Wells is an okay quarterback. I mean, he's nothing special, but he's not absolutely terrible. But against Pitt's defense, I just don't see it happening. Grant Wells is also good for a turnover, maybe 2, an interception or a fumble. So if Pittsburgh can hold on to the ball, they just came off 3 turnovers against Georgia Tech in a close loss, which seeing Georgia Tech still only score 26 points and their struggling offense and having 3 turnovers, that makes me even more inclined to lean Pittsburgh in this one. I don't love the spread because I love the under. I'm 100% taking the under 42. But for the sake of choosing the spread, I'm going to go Pitt -14.5. I feel like this is like a 28-10 game. Really ugly. Not a lot of scoring. Maybe a late touchdown, again, covers there. So those are the 5 picks that we have for the week. Let's see what we can get.